2014. Being that we're storing so much more information inside the catalog, you'll start noticing with the different releases that are going to be coming out that there's a little bit more detail to our components. So in 2014, we're taking advantage of that a little bit more, and you'll notice that as we're modeling, you have the ability to model in this enhanced mode, which basically gives you the representation of an actual weld, of the actual bolts, etc. So this is a new enhancement in 2014. The line view palette received some updates. And basically because of the custom data that's available now in the spec and the catalog. So if you need to do a filter based off of custom data, or you need to create a filter and save it, you can now do that. So in Cadworx 2014, the line view palette has been updated a little bit to support the custom data that you can have available for those components in 2014. We have the ability now for custom user shapes, right? For user shapes, if you want to create a user shape and you want to attach data to it, and you're not liking where the BOM callout is being placed or where the CG is for a complex shape, now you have the ability to go in there and redefine that if you need to. So once you go in and add all the data that you need, you'll have an edit button that allows you to access this dialog box to go in there and actually correct, fine-tune where the CG location is of those components. So when you generate the CG, it's accurately calculating where the center of gravity is for this one complex shape you may have inside your model. Generic attach. This is going to work great for those of you that have equipment that you're maybe importing from other disciplines. So if you have Inventor perhaps and you're wanting to import an equipment of some sort and you just want to quickly go in there and define the connection points, well, now you can do that with generic attach. I do have a little example that I want to show you for that. So here what I have is I have a pump, and this pump is just a solid. It does look kind of like a Cadworx pump, but I've removed all the intelligence so you can kind of see how we're going to be using this. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and leave it there. The generic attach button is inside the Cadworx Plant 1 toolbar. And what you can do is that you can come in and you can say, all right, I need to go ahead and attach some information. And it gives you this that you see here. And all you have to do is basically come in and say, well, I want to place it here. And then you kind of locate it, you know, to what position do you want to model it. So you go ahead and define it that way. Just give it an orientation. And you come in and you say, well, this is going to be the suction nozzle. And you can come and say this is pump 200. You come in here and define some basic properties. I'll say the flange thickness is 1 inch. And then I'll just go ahead and say OK. So what you have done is you basically define a connection point here for this pump, and it gives you kind of like a little plus grip. So if you wanted to, you can just start piping right off of it. Another thing that you can do is that you can come in and just use Cadworx to connect to those points. So here I can come in and I can say, well, I just want to connect to this connection point I defined here, and then it'll give you the ability to do that. So let me just turn on my O snaps. And also, so depending on, what did I do here? So depending on what you want to, depending on how you have your piping rules configured, it should allow you to do that. I'm not sure why it's not letting me. Let me just come out and say, let me just double check my piping rules. I thought I had that set here. So no, they are. So what I'll do is I'll just come in and say I want to go ahead and insert a flange. And so you see that kind of automatically displayed there. And so it'll let you just continue on routing if you needed to do that. Okay. So it'll automatically give you that connection. It'll give you those wells, that new gasket that you have in Cadworx 2013. So that's the new enhanced connection. So again, the plus grip will be available through that nozzle attach if you need that. Now what I'm going to do is continue with the presentation and move quickly here because we're running out of time. We have a big one, isogen repeatability in Cadworx 2014. If you wanted isogen repeatability in Cadworx, unfortunately we had to almost force our users to use isogen spulgen, alias spulgen. Now we have the ability of doing that inside Cadworx. All you have to do is turn it on. Inside the config file you have the ability of saying I want every time I create an isometric drawing, I want to make sure I keep the mark number, the sheet number, the spool data. So you can now maintain all that information for your isometric drawing. All you need to do is go in there and define what data you want to keep inside the config file and make sure it's set correctly inside iConfigure or Project Manager. All right. Additional minor enhancements here. We have a new match in type table inside the spec editor, so you can go in there and define what type of in conditions you want to support if you have that piping rule turned on inside Cadworx. Like I mentioned, we have a new pipe support for T's. We have the ability of just, same way we can convert an elbow to a T, you can convert a T to a cross. So we're receiving a little bit more updates to that. When you model tubing, you can now stretch it, and all the properties update according to what change you've done to the tubing. In addition to that, once you're finished tubing, you can also just continue routing off of it if you want to. Reducers, you'll notice that all reducers have new grip to it, so it automatically adds that tap that you need if you need it on that reducer. We have a new type of component in the catalog, a new mitered elbow. So if you want to add a mitered elbow to the catalog, you can do that very easily. We have the ability of joining and breaking pipe now. So let's say you have a long stretch of pipe and you want to say, I want to break it in 5-foot sections. Depending on what piping rules you have turned on, if you have your weld gaps automatically to your minimum maximum pipe rules turned on or length set up in your catalog, or if you have your couplings turned on, it'll automatically add those couplings or break the pipe for you depending on the specification you've done. We have in 2012 we had the change elevation. We now have that in 2014, so you can select an entire piping system and say whether you want to change a piping system from its current location to a different elevation or adjust it based off of its top or bottom of pipe elevation. We have a new piping rule that will allow you to go in and say whenever I insert an OLED, if there's a weld this distance from it, don't allow the user to insert an OLED. So if you had an interest in that, now you can define the minimum spacing for an OLED, and depending on what that spacing is that you define in the config file, it won't let you place an OLED according to that spacing you've inserted. So there's a couple of other things that that have been added in 2014, and these enhancements will surely add to your productivity when using it to model. Caesar 2013 and Cadworx 2014 are the official compatibility releases. So if you are using Caesar for the output, if you're using Cadworx 2014, that's compatible with Caesar 2013. So these are the official releases for that compatibility. You'll notice that inside Cadworx 2014, when you install it, you have these new buttons, and they say basically orthogen. And what this allows you to do is that there is an orthogen product out there, and there's a lot of other applications that are using it. We have now made it available for Cadworx. So if you have interest in that, look out for a couple of announcements that are going to be coming out shortly. We expect this to be available in the very, very near future for you. The program has already been enabled for its use, so all you need to do once it's available for you to purchase is for you to have that license available. And basically what it'll do is it'll open the orthogen program for you to go in there and configure all the different styles. And what it allows you to do is basically come in and based off of it'll go in there and create all your match lines for your line numbers and all the different labeling that you may need for the model depending on your settings you have inside orthogen. So it's going to be a big plus for those of you that want to create orthographic drawings automatically. This will create your orthographic drawings automatically based off of any name views that you have on your sheet. Okay, so you can also use the AutoCAD projections, those automatic AutoCAD projections inside AutoCAD to create your projections automatically, and then use orthogen to create your annotations. Also look forward to webinars that are upcoming on our Insider blog. So if you want to learn more about Orthogen, please visit our Insider blog for more information on Orthogen in the near future. We actually have one that will be taking place today in Europe, but it'll be a little bit too late for those of us that are in the Americas. So look for the archive tomorrow. Once the recording will actually go live today, you can look at the recording tomorrow if you like. Palette received some updates. And basically because of the custom data that's available now in the spec and the catalog. So if you need to do a filter based off of custom data, or you need to create a filter and save it, you can now do that. So in Cadworx 2000, do that a little bit more, and you'll notice that as we're modeling, you have the ability to model in this enhance mode, which basically gives you the representation of an actual weld, of the actual bolts, etc. So this is a new enhancement in 2014. The line view team. Being that we're storing so much more information inside the catalog, you'll start noticing with the different releases that are going to be coming out that there's a little bit more detail to our components. So in 2014, we're taking advantage, right, for user shapes. If you want to create a user shape and you want to attach data to it, and you're not liking where the BOM callout is being placed or where the CG is for a complex shape, now you have the ability to go in there and redefine that. In 14, the line view palette has been updated a little bit to support the custom data that you can have available for those components in 2014. We have the ability now for custom user shapes.